Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel and welcome to Board Game Breakfast. So there's a couple big things that we want to talk about. The first of these is Dice Tower Retreat. Dice Tower Retreat the registration has started. You can find out all the information about Dice Tower Retreat at dicetowerretreat.com. But in short, this is a time where we get together. We did it last year. We get together for 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we just play games. That's all it is. You have access to our amazing library. The Dice Tower folks will show up. We're going to play games with you the whole time. You can play new games that came out at Gen Con a couple months beforehand. Older games, upgraded games. It's a lot of fun, and many of the people who came last year, Dice Tower Retreat, are coming again, and they're fantastic and fun people to play for. We're cutting it at 250 people. It's not going to get bigger than that, and we want you to come and have a fantastic time. Everyone is invited to this, but of course, space is limited. The second thing I want to talk about is that we have a contest that's starting now and it's ending next week. So you want to get on this right away to enter the contest. First of all, we want to tell you what the contest is for. It's for the Silver River. We just played it a couple weeks ago. Fantastic 4X space game. And so in this contest, you can win a copy of Silver River when it comes out. Also from Robert Burke, Moons, Draco Magi and its expansion, ROLF, the deluxe version of Book of Dragons, and the deluxe Battle of Souls. So there's a lot of different prizes. To get these, you need to email us at contest@dicetower.com, and in the subject heading, put the word silver. And then you need to answer these two questions, which you'll need to go to the Silver River Kickstarter site to find out. Tell us one of the 4 domestic investment tracks and one of the 5 production resources. Give us those 2 answers, and then you're entered in the contest. We'll announce the winners next week. So, great contest. Remember, email us at contest@dicetower.com. That's the email. And the subject heading, silver. So, Dice Tower Retreat. Dice Tower Con is still coming up in July. The chance to get tickets for that. We hope you come on out for that. And Dice Tower Cruise registration will be coming live in a few weeks. So there's a lot of different things going on. But right now, let's start by finding things on the internet this week. Okay, well, first of all, there's Bang. The card game was mentioned from one of the players from League of Legends. If you check out the link in the description, we'll put all the links down there. They gave him a copy of the game. He says it's his favorite game. I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. League of Legends is huge, and so having someone who's popular in it like Bang, I don't know, I like seeing that stuff come around. There's a Facebook post from the president of Lucky Duck Games where he talks about Chronicles of Crime and how it sold 120,000 units. Usually companies don't release their numbers. Just as a heads up, that's a huge amount of games for the board game world. And he also talked about how the second version of that's coming along, so I'm looking forward to that. This is a hilarious Instagram account I found called Honest Board Games. Really cracks me up, where they take board game covers and replace the titles. Now, they aren't all funny. Some of them aren't as good as others, but others just made me laugh out loud. Really funny stuff. Then Meeple Mountain, speaking of humor, did a little article called Harry Potter. The game's going to come out with a 9 3/4 sided die. I just found that amusing. Then finally, the last thing for my internet links for today is Board Game Geek. The awards, the geekies, the nominations are available. It's time for people to vote on those. So I'm going to guess which ones are going to win, just for fun. So Game of the Year, I think it's going to be Root. However, there's an outside chance that Mind will win it. For 2-player game, I'm going to go with Keyforge, because I don't know that there's another strong 2-player game, and Keyforge certainly got a lot of hype. For Art, Brass Birmingham, I think has a pretty strong contender there. A lot of people like how that looks. Card game, I'll say Keyforge again. Co-op game, I'm going to say The Mind, just because there's so many people who really love that game. Expansion, probably the Rise of Fenris for Scythe, just because Scythe is so popular. It is a great expansion. For family game, the Quacks of Quedlingberg seems to be really, really popular. Innovative game, Chronicles of Crime, maybe The Mind again, of course, coming to steal that one. For party game, just one maybe. I really like that game myself. I don't know how popular that one is out there. Print and play, I don't know any of these games in this category. Solo game. I was surprised. I've played most of the solo games in the category because they're not mostly meant to be played solo. You can play them with other people. I guess Welcome 2 is my pick here. For strategy, Brass Birmingham. I'd be really surprised if anything else won. Maybe Root. For thematic, Root. I think those two games are the big, contenders of the year. For war game, not my category, so I'll just pick the one I've heard the most about, which is Lincoln. Podcast. This is an interesting one, right? Because the same podcast can't win more than once. So as time goes by, a lot of the bigger, well-known podcasts are out of there. I don't know. Blue Peg, Pink Peg, of course, is in the Dice Tower Network. I like them a lot. I don't know. Maybe it's Heavy Cardboard's turn to win. We'll see. And for app, I don't know. I don't play a whole lot of these board game apps. We'll see what happens. And of course, if you have an account at Board Game Geek, you can go and vote on these yourself and make the results you want to see happen. These are the things I found on the internet. If you find something you'd like me to talk about, send it to me at tom@dicetower.com and it might be featured here. I was about to say until next time, but we got more stuff to do. Let's get to it.
This is Roy Canning, and this is Printed Pieces, where we talk about 3D printing and what it can add to the tabletop hobby. Today we're going to talk all about creating your own STL files, the little models that you can print out on a 3D printer for your 3D printing. And for me, at first I was trying to figure out what program I should use. I tried to mess a little bit around with a program called Blender. I guess that's the one that you can do sort of anything with. And it was extremely complicated. I watched tons of YouTube videos trying to figure out all the different stuff. And I actually saw one of the guys, Kevin, who watches Printed Pieces, who had got a 3D printer, and he had made some awesome Azul insert. And I'm like, holy smokes. And he had just made this, and he had only had his 3D printer for a short time. He must have experience with the 3D modeling sort of stuff. But I was super excited. I was like, how did you make that? That's insane. And so he told me about Tinkercad. And so I've been trying to learn and mess around with Tinkercad and figure out different things. And one of the things that I've been trying to make are these heroes of land, air, and sea, towers and castle things. And I've been trying to tweak and make them just right. It's kind of interesting because it's basically just a bunch of different shapes, and you can mold them into different things, and then make it so the shape is deleting part of the shape out of it, and you can render that out into a STL file, which you can pop into Cura and easily print out. The awesome thing about this is you can make all sorts of different things, whether you're making cubes for a game, you can make little different pieces you can add to games, and it's super simple to just mess around and fiddle with stuff, and then take it to your printer and print it out, which is super exciting because if more people in the board gaming community get into making more things for board games and throwing them up on Thingiverse, there's just going to be more things board game related that people can make. So let me know in the comments down below if there's a specific program you would use to make files, and what sort of things would you love to see made 3D printed for board games. Is there a specific game that could have amazing things you could think up? Because the sky's the limit with this sort of thing, so it's really exciting to see people make more components for board games. So this has been Printed Pieces. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one.
Hey everybody, Z Garcia here. For today's Chop Shop, I'm taking a look at Carcassonne, which just got called from my collection. I love me some tile laying fun. Carcassonne is, sort of the quintessential tile laying game. It's been a favorite of mine for many, many years. But the main issue here is that I have a lot of different versions of Carcassonne. Really, how many versions do you need that kind of do the same thing? So I've let the original one go, even though I've got some expansions in the box here. Mainly because I've got Carcassonne the City, that I think is a more robust game with fewer sort of moving pieces, especially when you add in the expansions. And then I've also got Carcassonne the City, which is a 2-player only game that takes the core, but really feels in many ways different from the original version here. So that one kind of stands on its own. And then the City is just sort of my favorite version of Carcassonne. So this one felt like a duplication of something I already had. That's a reason why I recently let Factory Fun go and kept Factory Fun. I'll probably feature that on an upcoming Chop Shop, actually. So that's mainly it. The expansions also, the second reason why I'm letting it go is because I find myself these days having a harder time enjoying a game when there are too many expansions, especially when those expansions are more like tiny little modules, like real small things. A few of those feels good. when you then cross into, there's a line you cross and you have 15 different things you can mix in, it becomes a little sort of messy to play because I'm usually teaching someone new anyway. So that stuff just sort of gets in my way much of the time. I can't just open it up, set it up, and play. So there you go. That's my chop shop for this episode. Carcassonne, thank you very much, but you gotta go. I'll see you on the next one.
Hello guys, it's Cardboard Rhino, and today for the abstract game and strategy lovers, I want to show you a simple but very clever variation to chess, executed beautifully and carrying the intriguing name of Anarchess. Anarchess takes place in the land of chess long before the black and white enemy kingdoms were formed. Back then, there were no kings, queens, bishops, knights, or armies. The world was unexplored and amorphous, with just two proud tribes constantly struggling to expand their territories to survive. Anarchess takes only the pawns from chess and allows them to be more than just pawns. They're free entities. There's two versions, the travel one that is close to pocket size and comes in different colors, and the deluxe version with these beautiful chunky wooden pieces. You start the game with two black and white pieces on the center of the table, and you keep the rest of the tiles in the bag. One player gets the white pawns and the other the black ones. You then draw a random tile from the bag, and the player with the opposite color is the first player. In your turn, you draw a random tile from the bag and you place it on the table so that at least one of its sides touches one side of a tile already on the table. In the deluxe version, you roll the die to determine the color of the tile you should place. If the tile only touches one side of another adjacent tile, then it has to be a tile of the opposite color. While when it touches two or more sides, it can be of any color. And this is the way to create areas. All the same color tiles touching each other belong to the same area, and the game is basically an area control game. Then after placing the tile in your turn, you may do one more action if you want, which is placing a pawn on the tile you just placed or moving an existing pawn. You can only move them horizontally or vertically onto an empty tile, or you may attack an opponent pawn diagonally to an adjacent tile in any direction. The attacked pawn returns back to its original reserve and may be reused by that player. The game ends when the last tile was placed on the table, and then you count the points from the areas you control. An area belongs to the player with the most pawns in it. If there is an equal number of pawns from both sides, then no one controls the area. If you control an area of at least two tiles, each tile counts for 2 points. If there is just one pawn in the area, each tile counts for 3 points. And last, from the sum of your points, you subtract 6 points for any remaining pawns that you didn't place on the board. Anarchess is simple but with strategic depth, and I love the minimalism of the design and the great production quality. During the game, every tile that you place can change the board and the balance between the two powers completely, making it exciting and head-to-head until the end. I think it's a great choice to play with your family, your mom, your dad, your cousin, your kids, or anyone who's into strategy games that are not too complex to learn but are tough to master. So Rhino says yes to Anarchess. I can totally recommend this game.
My name is Annette, and you may know me as Netter's Place. And today on Applied Mechanics, I'm going to go over the game of Forensic. So this is a set collection, resource management type of game. So let me show you a little bit about it and why I really like it. The first thing a player will do on their turn is take any one of the cards. When they take a card, they'll also be taking the bricks on the card. For example, if you wanted to take this card, you have to pay a certain amount of bricks. This is paid for from your own personal supply, and you'll have to pay a brick on each card to the left of it. Once you take the card will tell you, depending on its icon, if you use it immediately, if you take it in hand, or if you place it in front of you. The second thing I can optionally do is exchange 3 bricks from my personal supply with 1 brick on a card that's in the display. The third thing I could do is build a tower in my construction area, and however many I've used, I have to pay a certain amount of other bricks. The fourth thing I do is a check. If I didn't build on a building that already existed in my construction site, then I would have to deconstruct it because it wasn't worked on. The fifth thing is to check and see if I finished a commission. This is how you gain points. For example, if I built a tower that was 4 tall and green, then I check the board to see if there's an available spot of a 4 tall green tower and gain the listed amount of points, along with placing my scroll there. The last thing I'll check on my turn is whether I meet the required limits. I can't have more than 5 cards in display or in my hand, along with having more than 10 bricks in my supply. If a player places all of their scrolls onto the board, and if they're the first person to do so, they'll also gain 5 bonus points. That will also mark the end of the game, and whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. So I really enjoy the decisions that players have on their turn. Should they take a certain card because it has the right bricks that they want, or should they take a certain card because they like the action on the card despite the bricks that it has on it? So those small little decisions makes the game very interesting. And that's why I really like Firenze. Well, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
So what's the Dice Tower doing this week in gaming? Well, episode 599 of the Dice Tower podcast, that comes out tomorrow, and we're talking about our favorite games that start with the letter B, because that seems fitting for 599. Also different reviews I'm doing this week. Dinogenics is coming. The expansion to Whistle Stop, Super Friends, a really unique game, First Contact, Dual Powers, so a bunch of games along that line. We're also going to be playing some live games tomorrow and Testing Tuesday, board game breakfast, of course, live on Thursday. We have a whole slate of live stuff every week. You might want to check some of that out. And we're doing a top 10 list this week. We're doing top 10 games that keep getting better. I always like to talk about stuff like that. And so that's all coming from the Dice Tower. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Let's keep going on with the show.
Hey there everyone, it's Jen, the board game librarian, flipping some pages, pushing some cubes, as always, on my segment From the Page to the Table. I'm going to pair a book and a board game together this week, a book that I just recently finished, and I read it because of the board game. This is another one of those amazing experiences where this has happened. And it is, dum dum dum, Jim Butcher, Storefront, first book in the Dresden Files. I don't know how I ever missed out on this series. It's one of my boss's favorite series of all time, and I find it deeply amusing, deeply entertaining. Harry Dresden is quite the character. He has a cat, much like my own cat, and I really wish he would wander down here right now. It's just a cast of wonderful characters, all very eclectic. A fantasy mystery, if you'll say, an urban fantasy mystery, combining all of these different elements of the magical and mystical. So I read it because of the Dresden Files cooperative game, 1 to 5 players, 30 minutes, designed by Eric Vogel and published by Evil Hat Productions. So we played this first before I had at least started reading the books, and then I loved the game so much that I went on over to the book. A deeply cooperative game where you are trying to solve cases, ward off monsters, and you are playing as some of the characters from the book. You can be Harry Dresden, you can be Susan, you could be Karen, you can be the wolves too, which I haven't gotten to yet. So this is a really hard cooperative game. It's one of those ones where you're doing really, really, really good, and then you're going to yourself, it's fine, we're doing great, and then it's just all bottoms up from there. There's lots of expansions here, and the books go in the game as well as kind of like a chapter pack. I love that. Deeply recommend this one if you are a Dresden Files fan and haven't played the game yet. That's all. Happy breakfast.
Welcome to The Purge. Okay, here we go. This is row, this is column. And we have, I have the feeling we had this one already. Row 5, column 6.
Here are the results for row 5, column 6. First off,
Interesting.
Newton, one of the latest games. If you want to hear my opinion on it, go and check out the This Game is Broken Loser-Palooza Ilka and I did on it.
A kid in school approached me and said, "Why do you not like the game with the apple?" That's what she said. And she doesn't speak English, so...
Because you didn't like it.
I wanted to like it, I did not like it. As we say in German, this is a sorrow child, a Sorgenkind. I want to so much like it, and I can't.
I think it's amazing. This is going to stay for now. We're going to see what happens next year, but for now, this is going to stay.
Oh, okay.
It is mine!
Oh, I bought it. Legally, it's mine. So.
That's true.
Yeah.
Ex Libris.
I love it.
Yeah.
I want to keep it. It's about books. I love books. I love shelving books. I love sorting books.
Yet, she does not like shelving books in Newton. Got you on that one. We'll see.
Yep.
Okay, this is gonna stay. Now, a big one, Gaia Project. You have not played this one.
No, I have not. And you have been talking about it for quite a while. So this is the special pile where we keep games that have yet to be played. I have the feeling that's everything.
Well, even if you are not liking it, this game is not going anywhere.
This is not going where I want it to go.
I'm sorry, this sparks joy.
That's what this is about.
It sparks joy. It stays.
Okay.
Santa Maria.
Oh, right. I have a vague memory about playing this. Is about colonization and the religious...
Well, if you put it like that, it sounds politically incorrect, which it probably is. I did not get the expansion for this game, and I think that kind of sets the tone for this. I'm okay with this leaving the collection.
Then I'm so okay with this leaving the collection.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That was it for this week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Mike Licio from Solo Mode Games. Solo gamers, I have a question for you. How often do you play a game, a solo game, and then stop mid-game or partway through the game, leave it, go away for a while, maybe even perhaps days, and then come back to that game? In other words, play a game through multiple sessions, a single game through multiple sessions. I've come to realize that this is something that I almost never do. And to some extent, this is one of the benefits of solo gaming. I guess theoretically you can do this in a multiplayer game too, just decide as a group that you're going to take a pause from the game and come back maybe in a couple days or even the next week. And I would assume that with longer games that would even be more of a viable possibility. But in solo games you have no one else that you really need to consider except for yourself. And so depending on the type of game, it's pretty easy to just play it, stop, come back within a few hours or maybe even a couple of days or a week and continue on the game. But I find that I almost never do that, and I don't particularly know why. I just don't usually take advantage of that advantage that there is with solo gaming. And so I wanted to know from my solo gamers out there, how many of you use this as one of the benefits of solo gaming? Do you oftentimes play a game, maybe have it set up and come back and play it? I know with campaign style games, this is a little bit different. I'm not necessarily talking about that, where you'll play a full session, leave it out on the table just for convenience sake, and then come back and continue and play another session in that same campaign. I'm talking about in a single game, leaving it, going away, and coming back. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, solo gamers. How often do you take advantage of this benefit for solo gaming? Are you like me and rarely if ever do it, or is it something you do all the time? I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you can let me know in the comments below, I'd love to hear it. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.
So I was trying to figure out how to describe this game, and I think the back of the box does it pretty well. It's a game of farming, customer service, and ambiguous vegetables, which honestly is strangely apt. Hi, I'm Jordan, and this is Second Chance Shelf, where I'm taking a look back at an older game to see if it's worth taking off your shelf again. Today we're looking at the Gates of Loyang by Uwe Rosenberg. Let's take a look inside at a couple things that I think are interesting. So in At the Gates of Loyang, the players are trying to score the most points, moving up their individual point tracks by harvesting fields up here, by buying vegetables from the market here and selling them to the customers that are coming to their market stalls. In the game, there are two types of customers. We have the regular customers here in blue, and we have the casual customers here in red. Casual customers want a one-time vegetable order. So here we got, this person wants a pumpkin, a bean, and then this little Muppet head vegetable. And then this regular customer here wants the same order over the course of 4 turns, and they're going to pay you a little bit more each turn every time you're able to give it to them. If you're able to give it to them, they stay happy. If you're unable to give it to them, they get upset. So one of the interesting things about the casual customers, this is plus or minus 2 coin value right down here. So whenever you were to meet the order for this casual customer, you would get 9 coins plus or minus 2, depending on the number of casual customers you have. So if you were to have more casual customers than regular customers, you would actually lose 2 coins for this order. But if you had more regular customers to casual customers, you would gain 2 coins for that order. Well, there's a little bit about At the Gates of Loyang. If you have this one, definitely dust it off and get it back to the table. I'm not going to say all games deserve a second chance, but this one definitely does. Have a good one.
A lot of stuff getting added to the library this week. We're adding a new expansion for Villainous, of course, and Magnus Storm. This is a fantastic game. I really enjoy playing this one. Then we have Volt. This is the new 2nd edition of the game from Heidelberger. And Museum. I really would like to try some of the expansions for this one. We'll have to wait and see. Not just new games being added though, some oldies, Oceanos. This is one I know a lot of people like, and it's a really pretty game, as well as a very old game, Warrior Knights. Lots of stuff in this one. Yeah, I need to stick Food Chain Magnate in the library, so there you go. And At the Gates of Loyang. Well, this is like an old game that just has a reprinting from Tasty Minstrel Games. And let's move these, and then we got another new one, Brass Birmingham. Of course, that one has to go in the library. People love that. Then back to old, Belfort. This is a great game. If you never played it, you should certainly try it out. And Feudality. This is kind of like a personal pick for me to stick this one in the library because I don't think a lot of people even know about this game, but it's a pretty fun dice rolling game. I'm adding in a couple mini expansion stuff for Zaya in the library. Forbidden Stars. This one has to be in the library. It's out of print, so I'm glad to be able to snag a copy of that one. And Legacy, the testimony of Duke de Crecci. So these are all being added to the library. There you have it.
Hey folks, welcome back to another Accessorize video. This is where I'm going to show you something that we've received here in the studio that is meant as an accessory for some other kind of game. You know, whether it's a box organizer or if it's just something to hold pieces or if it's some kind of maybe a dice tower or a dice tray or you name it. Something that's going to help accessorize or enhance your experience with whatever board game it's meant for. Now, got these organizers in the mail a little while ago from Justin Wilgus. His BGG tag is Tails, T-A-I-L-Z 13. And he saw Z and I play Claustrophobia 1643 live. He said, after our first game, I knew this was going to be played often and needed organization. So I noticed the tokens all over the table when Z and Sam played, so I decided you could use your own set. If you remove the cardboard spacers from the box, you can fit both of these on top of the stacks with no lid lift. And so he goes on to talk about how he appreciates what we do for the hobby. So we thank you, Justin. And I just wanted to show these off, and maybe you can contact him on BGG to get the files or what have you. I have no idea. But anyway, these are just foam core inserts, and you can take it off. And he actually took a picture on how everything is organized in there. And then, of course, you open it up and you have all of the different spaces. So these foam core inserts, Robert Searing has his own business insert here, I think is what it's called, and he does these as well. They're one of the coolest things about foam core inserts is that they do the same thing that the wood organizers do, but they are super light, and that's what's cool about these things. So he did a really good job as far as that's concerned. He even added the little finger cutouts here for the cards that come out of there and all that kind of stuff too. So that's really cool. And then the second half here also kind of more of the same thing where he's just putting these things in there, and the flap is there so that you can see how everything fits in and all that kind of stuff. But these are really solid. I like that about it. Sometimes the foam core inserts can be a little feel like you're going to break them. They can feel a little fragile. These inserts here that he's designed are not that way. As you can see, there's a lot of supporting things in here, and so these are just really solid construction. It's a great design, so Justin did a great job, and we thank you, Justin. I'm going to hand these over to Z because he's keeping that Claustrophobia 1643. But anyway, that's it from me. Contact Justin on BGG. Maybe he can send you the files. I don't know. Whatever. Just want to say thank you, Justin, for sending them to us. We'll appreciate using them. Let's get back to the rest of your breakfast.
It's your turn.
Ooh.
I guess I'm ready.
I'm Ellen. Welcome to We Game Together. Today we are confessing something that we did bad. Wow. Well, it wasn't our fault. Technically, it wasn't our fault. We left a game out in the mail while we were gone over the weekend. Well, we didn't know it was going to get delivered.
You know it was going to get delivered.
It got delivered. It rained for like 2 solid days.
In only a box. Yeah. Not like a box in a box.
Yeah.
So...
yeah. But anyways, the game we're talking about is Chai. Dan and Connie were kind enough to send us, they are the makers of this game, were kind enough to send us Chai to test out. So this is actually like...
it's a prototype.
Yeah, prototype copy. So, I mean, I'm not going to be like, look how amazing it looks, because as cute as it is and adorable as the artwork, this is not the finished product.
The cards now look amazing.
The cards are amazing. Oh.
The cards are like... almost final production they look like. I mean,
they're beautiful.
The art looks amazing already.
I love the art.
Like you can tell they're not like a production card, but it is a quality looking card.
It is a quality.
Plus they had
card.
some metal coins that were included too.
Oh, are they going to do all metal from now on?
I think that's part of the Kickstarter. Yeah, so
that would be amazing.
It looks really good.
So, anyways, this game is about making tea and selling it to customers.
About time. All these stupid coffee crap.
Coffee crap.
And then finally a tea game. And chai no less, which is my favorite kind of tea.
He loves chai with 3 pumps of raspberry flavoring in it.
Yes, I do.
Very sweet. This is absolutely charming to the max.
Looks really dang good. Yeah, it's fun. It's a little bit lighter than I thought it was at first, but you know, that's obviously nothing wrong with that. You know, people tend to, you know, you say a light game and people are like, oh, you know, that's like it's a bad thing that it's lighter. I never understood that. I'll play anything from the lightest to the heaviest of games.
It's not like stupid light. Like it's a good little game.
Yeah.
It's just light. And
no, very nice.
It's
interesting decisions. The best part, in my opinion, was like how the market board works to get the flavors. Where you they slide down. You can pick off one, and then you can do that so that they slide down. There's 3 rows.
Yeah.
Pick one off the middle. They slide down so they line other flavors up. Because anything that's touching orthogonally, you can buy.
It's like the game
for
Candy
that price.
Crush. If you know of that game, you click the candy in it, and any color of the like color that is touching it, orthogonally.
That's a good description. Yes, orthogonally.
I should just let Randy do this, and I'll just stand here being like, "Here's a game." You get all of them.
Yeah,
it's a cool mechanic. I have not seen that.
It's really kind of clever.
And you slide them down the little thing. It's very satisfying.
Yeah, you get your flavors, and you can exchange, and there's like abilities and holding. And awesome. Exchanging, very nice. A lot of neat little things. So there's quite a bit to do in a light package, which is kind of interesting. Usually a light game is kind of fairly directional. Yeah. But I didn't feel like that with this one. Good game.
Love it. Really, really cute game, guys.
Yeah. So check out the photo of the day, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Howdy folks, welcome to By the Numbers. My name is Hunter Thomason from the Family Showdown. On this episode of By the Numbers, we're doing something a little different. I'm finding it difficult to have a weekly segment for By the Numbers, so I thought I would come up with an idea of a video series to fill in the gaps between my regular segments. So I was out surfing the board game Geek, and I was curious, what was the most popular game the year I was born? And I thought, why not make a series of videos of all the popular games starting from the year I was born all the way to current and give it the by the numbers treatment. We're going to jump right in with 1970, and here is the top 5 most popular games from that year according to Board Game Geek. And we're going to focus in on the number 1 game, Panzer Blitz. Panzer Blitz is a war game simulating the Eastern Front in World War II. It is ranked, as of the time of this recording, 2,157th on Board Game Geek, but it is the 576th best war game. Taking a look at the ratings, a little over 1,500 of them, we see mostly 6s, some 7s, and smatterings of other ratings for an overall rating of 6.5. This game has a weight of 3.06. In doing a little bit of research on this game, I noticed they had some pretty impressive chits for a 1970s game, and I also found, interestingly enough, an advertisement for the Avalon Hill catalog from 1970. This game cost a whopping $8.98. Well, there you have it. There is 1970, the first in a long series of videos that will be filling in the gaps from our regular episode. So will it be 1971 next time? Or will it be a regular segment? Who knows? See you next time.
Last week, Matthew talked about bookcases. So I want to give my 2 cents on bookcases this week because I like talking about bookcases. There's a lot of different bookcases that are available for people to buy, and he talked about the Billy vs. Kallax. I think Kallax shelves are the best shelves you can get, but I want to point out that when it comes to games, I just want to have the shelves that work. Now in our studio here, the shelves we use are those big plastic shelves that you can buy at Home Depot, or they're sturdy, they work. We just throw games all over them. They're not necessarily the best shelves for games because they have holes in them and stuff, but that's what works in this situation. If I found a bookcase out on the street, I would do that. And when I was in Korea, I used whatever bookcases I could find to put my games into. But I want to pick bookcases that look nice. I personally like Kallax games because I like my shelves because I like to have everything organized, and I just like the OCD on how each thing is in its own square. I also like the fact that the drawers fit in them really nicely. You can put doors in them, and you can do other things with them, including those slide in and out bins that you can put in them, and I really enjoy those. I think that they make the whole thing look nicer. But if I couldn't afford to get the Kallax shelves, well, I couldn't afford Billy probably either at that point, but as they make basically Kallax rip-off shelves that they sell at Walmart. I mean, they're almost the same thing, although be very careful not to get the 11-inch ones because the 13-inch ones are that much better. Shelving is a big deal to me. Shelving is one of those things where when I go to IKEA or other places like that, I'm just like, I want that shelf. That shelf looks amazing. I always stop and look at shelves, and I like things on shelves. I mean, I have a shelf that we put here, and I like to put items on the shelf. I just like to display things. I like that background look to things. But some people have games stored in their closet. That was like my whole childhood. All our games were in a closet somewhere. For a while, they were in the top of one of my closets. Then we had one closet that had some shelving in it, and it was just full of games. It was the game closet. And I still have a lot of fond memories of going and opening the closet and pulling out a game. And then I had my own secret stash of games upstairs, the Avalon Hill games, the games my brothers and sisters weren't allowed to touch and frankly didn't even care about. So it wasn't like it was anything big deal putting them up there. And I think sometimes we get caught up in our bookcases. Would I like the box thrown shelves where you put one game per shelf? That's fantastic. And every shelf has its drawback. These plastic ones, they're not so pretty, but you can pull them apart and bang them together really easily. That's why we use them for Dice Tower Cruise and conventions. The Kallax shelves are amazing, but to move them, they can fall apart really easily. And they're also kind of a pain in the neck to put together. Overall, I think the whole shelving thing, sometimes we get really excited about stuff here in Dice Tower, like the Kallax shelves are the best. I believe that, but I don't think people who don't have them are like missing out on anything. As long as your games fit on the shelf, that's what's important. Now, how do you store them on a shelf? That's a different matter.
Hey everyone, Chris Renshaw here, and today I'm here to talk about Coriolis, the Third Horizon from Free League Publishing, makers of the awesome RPG Tales from the Loop that I've already talked about in previous videos. First of all, and they even talk about this in the book, that it's not your typical sci-fi setting and that it's very Middle Eastern influenced. And what I mean by that is, and in fact this is even from the book, they go to explain it when thinking about the world, is imagine Firefly only taking the Western culture bits out. One problem that sci-fi RPGs, if you have spaceship travel, and thus you have spaceship combat, every sci-fi RPG has this problem, and it's how to do spaceship combat in a way that makes it fun for everyone. Where it's like the pilot gets to have all the fun, you know, targeting and attacking people, and everybody else is just kind of making rolls to buff the pilot. Coriolis doesn't necessarily do that. It's not completely different, but just the way that they approach the situation reminds me very much of board games, and specifically when you're talking about like the original Space Cadets, and that they break up the task of using the ship in almost like gamify it sort of way, where, for instance, the pilot only is moving the ship, they're not attacking. So the pilot's got to do this management of keeping the ship in certain movement bands so that they can get pluses and minuses. There's a sensor person that has to make sure that they can get locked on to the person to attack. There's a gunner that's actually doing the firing. And more importantly, before you even get to any of that, there's an engineer who basically is given a bunch of points and gets to allocate who's doing what this combat round. And that's where it very much reminded me of something like Space Cadets, or like Space Cadets Dice Duel. And that's something that I thought was really well done in Coriolis. So if you're looking for a very different take on sci-fi, then I definitely recommend giving Coriolis a shot. The artwork's amazing. It's got a lot of great, interesting concepts in here. And a lot of good lore. I loved reading the lore bits that are in here. So if you're interested in all that, Coriolis is out from Free League Publishing. Coriolis: A Third Horizon is the full name of the book, and you can find it anywhere that you go buy your RPGs. But in the meantime, if you've got any comments or questions about RPGs or these books in particular, make sure you leave them down in the comments below. And make sure you follow us on social media and subscribe to the YouTube channel and the Boards and Swords podcast. And until next time, may all your hits be crits.
Happy breakfast, everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about the pile of pressure that I felt to one day play Catan and how it's finally got the better of me. It's built up as this game that's helped the industry get to where it is now. Whether it, the actual gameplay stands up, I think it probably does. I think maybe if it was released now, it would probably sort of fall into the category of a good, not great game. So I think maybe it's, maybe it's built up slightly too much. I don't want to offend too many people with this. It's good fun, but I think if it got released now, it wouldn't have the same impact. It wouldn't go on to create so many variants and have the big name that it is now. In terms of the pressure, I felt like almost people sort of say like, oh, I've played this game, I've played that game, and Catan was often a game that has come up for like, oh, you haven't played Catan, but you've played and got all these other games. That seems weird. And yeah, I can see why, because of the history of the game, but maybe not quite so much sort of the game itself. I'd much prefer to play other games, but I certainly wouldn't refuse a game of it. Anyway, that's me finally getting around to play Settlers of Catan. I'm kind of enjoying it, actually. And let me know if you've yet to play it, or if you had a game that you really felt you were pressured into playing by the hobby as a whole. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'm Oliver East, signing out.
So I have a terrible, terrible secret. But this is neither the time or the place for that, so instead we'll talk about inserts. How exotic. So, I kind of hate almost all inserts, and yes, I'll be upfront straight away, there is no answer to this problem, and especially an answer that an international company should adhere to based on my own personal preference. That would be absolutely insane. But anyway, I will continue to moan about it. Because Castell, which is a top 5 game for me, and Quadropolis actually, and Five Tribes do this as well, have inserts so perfectly perfect that they are almost utterly useless, because the second you move the box, everything moves out of where they should be, and they're just completely superfluous, so I've thrown those away. Card games that come in boxes like the Mind, absolutely awful. I hate those too. They just open all the time, regardless of how you store them. You can't take them around with you because they open. It's an absolute nightmare. And lastly, one of my things I hate the most is boxes that come that are 95% air. But what is also important is that, isn't it lovely to be in a hobby where you can hate something so insignificant because everything else is pretty fantastic. Because with the energy I use hating minor inconveniences, I could probably do something with my life. I'm not going to, but I could probably have done that, which is excellent. I'm not sad at all thinking about it. And if you're wondering if I did have any solution to the problem of inserts, I do, and that's an empty box full of plastic bags.
And that's it for another Board Game Breakfast, folks. Alrighty, come back today at 10 o'clock for a live Q&A. I hope you all have a fantastic week. I hope you have a fantastic time. It's so great to be able to share this with you all. We love the comments. I read every comment on YouTube videos. I try to anyway. We love with the folks of those of you who join us live over the course of the week. Thank you again for supporting the show in various ways. We appreciate it. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and our myriad of amazing contributors is Board Game Breakfast on the Dice Tower.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock at coolstuffinc.com.